I first learned about the Center for Food Safety back in 1998 when I was writing my first piece about genetically modified food. It was a very new product in the market. I think it had only been planted for a year or two before then. And in the course of my research, I went around looking for people who had very thoughtful perspectives, good empirical information, who could teach me about the issue. And one of the most important I bumped into was Andrew Kimbrell at the Center for Food Safety. I ended up quoting him in the piece, in fact, and he helped me to understand, in a way I hadn't before, exactly the environmental threats, challenges posed by these crops, the food safety issues raised by these crops. And so for a long time now, the Center for Food Safety has been one of my regular sources, somebody I turn to, people I turn to for information, especially on this issue. I mean, they've dealt with other issues too. But on this issue, they have been a real leader in raising questions about genetically modified foods, the technology behind it, the impact on farmers, especially, because it's not just about environmental health threats. It really is a political issue. One thing I think that is distinctive about the Center for Food Safety is that they are very effective litigators on these issues. And no one has had more success than they have in raising issues in the courts and slowing the approval of several crops until we have the kind of environmental impact assessment, the kind of health impact assessment we need to really be sure that these things are safe. So they have slowed that in two crops that I can think of by very effective litigation especially here in the Ninth Circuit in California. So I think that that's an important contribution they're making. At a time when these things, when the path is greased, regulation is incredibly light for these crops, and no one is really taking a good hard look at what we're doing. They almost alone are slowing that process and getting regulators to take a good hard look at what we're doing to our food supply and what we're doing to our landscape. They have been the most vocal and most effective critic of the monopolization of genetics going on. There have been time after time where Monsanto has told me one thing, and I've turned to the Center for Food Safety and gotten the real facts. They're diligent researchers. They do not, as journalists, you're always sensitive to people who have an agenda, who are twisting the facts to make their case look good, but I found them to be completely reliable. And so, I think it's hard to imagine this landscape, this journalistic landscape, this public opinion landscape without them here to correct the record, to provide a counterbalance to what really is a monoculture of opinion around this issue. Monsanto and the other companies like it are spending a fortune to convince people that we need genetically modified food to feed the world. They have beautiful ads, great PR. It sounds like a terrific argument. We're all vulnerable to that argument unless someone is standing up there and offering another point of view. Pointing out, for example, that genetically modified food, as we now know it, does not increase crop yield, that does not contribute to feeding the world, that it, in fact, may make it more difficult for people to feed themselves if they can't save seed. I just think that it's one of the indispensable voices on the landscape around this issue and others, and I, for one, am very happy they're there.